All right. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Moi, c'est Guillaume, cofondateur, CEO de Zetane, and with me is Patrick, our CTO co-founder. Thank you for coming in large numbers. Love to see inspired minds attend our workshops. They're always a great hit. Please, for those that took a chance to sit at the tables, the gift bags are for you, so that's a sign of courage. Thank you for being courageous and getting up front. What we're going to do today is break a few taboos, maybe break a few paradigms and create a few new ones on how to get AI deployed in industry relatively quickly and relatively inexpensively or cheaply at a low cost. What we've seen in the last few years is a buildup of companies that offer AI services and do very well and provide very good services. But they tend to be very long cycle projects, and they tend to be very expensive. And more importantly, in some cases, they tend to demand a lot of resources from the client who's interfacing with that partner. And we did that actually for many years. Zetane, we came out of the service industry from an AI perspective, and you'll see that today. And bit by bit, we realized that most customers don't want AI. They want what AI can do for them, which is a big distinction. And a lot of the AI best practices that were developed over the last 10 years, 7, 8 years in terms of modern AI were built around long development cycles with POCs and MVPs and at-scale deployments with all of the iterations that come with that. So we're going to talk about that today, and we'll stop every once in a while for some questions. And we'll go from high-tech to low-tech because our live survey system didn't work when we tested it here this morning. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way there. So you'll have to bear with me. So who are we? At Zetane, essentially, we empower companies to leapfrog the competition. Keep that word in mind. It'll come back in the presentation. By the rapid and viral introduction of AI in their businesses. Why do I say viral? Because even if you get an AI deployed in the real world, one of the biggest problems we're seeing today in companies is employees are not quick to use that AI platform that you might have made available for them. So your return on investment and certainly your interest of users becomes a big problem. One of the first things I always like to say is that AI is not magic. For people that do AI here, they already know that, but a lot of people think that AI is some sort of a weird technology that we don't understand. Actually, AI is quite easy to explain. It's quite easy to demonstrate. It's a complicated working environment from large language models as we see today, generative AI and things like that. But at the heart of it, it's mathematics and data. However, and the main takeaway for today's presentation is that with the arrival of generative AI, what we see at Zetane is that this has become what we call an extinction level event, and I'm not exaggerating here, for many companies if they're not ready to adopt it and adapt it to their business. Harvard Business Review has published last year, but all of them, all the big ones, all the big companies, the big consulting firm have all said more or less the same thing. It's a transformative technology. However, the problem is that most companies are not very well served, and unless you've built up a big AI capability in your business, you are having a hard time keeping up. And productivity is suffering. Certainly the data in Canada shows it, but in other parts of the world as well. And so what you tend to hear when we talk AI, we tend to hear about complex applications of AI. I refer to them as complex application. Things like autonomous vehicle or investment algorithms, or facial recognition at airport. And those are actually very important and are being used in our day-to-day lives. But they represent probably less than 10, maybe even less than 5% of most applications of AI today. And we at Zetane have done a lot of complex AI projects. And I'm going to show you one just to get a sense of what that looks like and why these AI processes have become so big and so onerous on companies. What you're going to see here is a project we did with a company from Alberta that was looking to do preventive maintenance and preventive analysis of high-tech sensors wrapped in cables that go 3 to 5 kilometers underground to assess potential for oil and gas, fracking, and things like that. They needed a real-time system deployed on the edge, which means on some truck somewhere in the prairies or in the mountains of Alberta, with the ability for a technician to assess what's going on. So you're seeing imaging and laser calculations being taken real time as a cable is being deployed. And at a very high level, the technicians are being warned that there's an anomaly potential there. You're seeing that built through our platform Zetane, you can actually access every layer of the model to know exactly how the decisions are being made, so that a non-AI expert can start to look at what's being proposed to them, or an AI expert can dig deep into one of the modules and decide to modify it or evaluate it or test it. And then at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the human using it. And so we're a big believer in making UI user interfaces that are easy to use by non-AI people, which are 99% of the users probably in your respective organizations. So dashboards with data designed by them, for them, that take the AI away, put it in the back, behind the curtain, so to speak, and allows you then to access the data and make decisions in real time, or in their case, also post-real time for predictive maintenance. So that's an example of what most companies have been focusing their AI work on. Complex, situations that certainly have big ROI. This particular solution, is estimated to save them between 3 to 5 million a year in defects and operations interruptions when these failures occur. But what we see at Zetane, and why we've changed our philosophy over the last few years, is that more than 90% of your use cases that can help your business today are in the regular work that you do all the time, where there's very little resistance to change. If you told somebody, what if I automated that for you? Because it's the 70th time this month that you've had to open that database, look in the data, make a report, send it to your boss, get some feedback that it's not right, and then iterate on that. And so your day-to-day back office support services represent a huge opportunity for anybody wanting to bring AI or generative AI to their business. And that's where we believe the market has been severely underserved, and the traditional process on how to do that is too heavy to deliver these types of solutions. I'll have Patrick walk you through the next video, which is a complete turnaround on the previous video, which was more technical. So I'll launch it. Well, you can launch it when you want.
Yes. Oh, sorry. All right. So I'm Patrick St-Amant, the CTO of Zetane. And so basically we supported many projects along the years with different companies. And based on that, we're seeing okay, it takes a lot of energy to bring a project into deployment. Not only that, but to have people use it and gain a benefit from it. So you can spend maybe a year to develop a project, okay, maybe 2 months of development, then you bring it to production, now it's deployed, people can use it, but in the end there's no one using it because you don't have the right interface. So we decided, okay, so let's build a platform where you have a business use case, you build a tool, really small tool, big tool, that needs to be powered by AI or very simple interaction in the user interface interactions that then is connected to AI. If we are able to do this quickly, then we're in a really good position. So, but what you want is that tool to be also accessible and be able to be connected in a very, I'd say, kind of flow with the other tools, kind of be able to weave different tools together. So for example, if I'm doing predictive maintenance, I have a very serious model that is able to predict if what will break soon, so I can take actions. But based on that data, I need also to send it to the proper person or figure out who should be dealing with this. So now there's really 2 tools. The first one is get the prediction, what's going to break. The next one, who's the right person to deal with this problem. If you're able to bring those 2 in the same flow, then you basically have a huge task off your desk. So, so what we did is we built an interface that, think of it as ChatGPT, but with your organizational tool, your organization tools, It can be anything in there. Not only that, but it can connect to your database. It can connect to all the data from your enterprise, and then you can bring them in a place that's secure, that everyone can use and do their job, basically. So with all these modular tools, you're able to bring it and really give value to all of it. So the video that you'll be seeing is the end of a process. The process took about, I'd say, 20 minutes. I said, okay, I'm going to create a new product. So give me ideas for new products. I want to market it to Gen Z and maybe something related to sound and light. That was the initial prompt. Then I got suggestions of glasses that would be interacting with the music and changing lights on the glasses. And that would be really tailored for, really good for a music festival. So that created this. So I created, based on that, you generate images, you remove the background. We did like different, some kind of a post for it. We already had all the strategy for the marketing. And in the end, I'm like, okay, so now the next step is I'd like to make a website for it. I want it to look good, and I only have 10 minutes to do it. So in this case, we took 10 minutes. We shortened it to 5 minutes, and we have a landing page for a new product. So I'll be super honest. This was done yesterday. 20 minutes, we have a new product and a website. So because we called all these tools together, we're able to do this at really high speed. So, all right. Oh, so that's, okay. So website analytics. So stand corrected. This is a story to get information for your company. So in this case, I was looking at our website, freshly launched for Zeta Forge, and I wanted to get basically the information from our website and see what I can improve. So what it did is kind of scrape our own website, gave the information out, and now I want to know what's really happening on my website. So I'm talking to my data. And I don't know if I can pause. Maybe any way they can pause. Oops.
No, go back.
All right. I guess they don't have a pause button. All right. And you'll see at some point, because I uploaded my own data about my analytics, so basically I went on Google Analytics, got my Excel file, dropped it in there, and I asked it to generate dashboards right away. I didn't ask anything else than just give me a bunch of charts. And then it gave me all these charts about my analytics, and I didn't have to work for it. So this gives you a way to access your data, improve what you do already, and get deeper insight and really in seconds. And so that's the chart that were created, and they follow exactly what I see on Google Analytics. So the large language model did its job of integrating all that data in a few seconds. So now I am asking what I can do to improve it. SEO is a good idea because we have a really good organic search. So then I'm like, okay, so let's check for different things I can do. And you can see I'm clicking on buttons, so I don't even enter things anymore. I look at what's the suggestions and I click on it. So in this case, I'm generating kind of a new kind of blog entry based on what was suggested. And now I have a 5-step things to do in my website. So this website is, we didn't push too hard, but it's really ready to go and to be added to our own website. So because I was done yesterday, it's not yet live. The new blog is not live, but we can do this. In this example, I'm just also changing the picture in the website. And yeah, so that's kind of one of the example. There's many other things that we can do, and it's really to accelerate the whole story. And because it connects to your own data, because for us, in the backend, it's powered by Zeta Forge Studio, which is a workflow composed of Lego blocks, all connected together in flows. And because we can do anything in the background, in the foreground, you basically can weave your tools, and you can connect it to your data and get everything together in one place. So when we think of the people that can use it, it can be from the CEO to the developer to the content marketing people to marketing. And what's coming up is a lot of integrations to different third parties and so on. So we're kind of bringing everything together. So yeah, that's kind of the summary.
Thank you. We have mics, I forget where they are. I don't know who's in charge of mics over there. So at one point, I'm going to stop for questions, just so you know. There's one there. Okay, thank you, Brooke. And there's one there. Okay, right behind that table. Right. Okay. So please feel free at one point to raise your hand, but I will stop in a few minutes as well. So what you're going to see today is we're going to talk a little bit about our journey, not because we want to talk about our journey, but it's more about what we learned from our customers' journey over the last few years, all of which are either big, medium, or small companies looking to get AI into their organization. And that's the results of what you saw even in the demos today. We're going to talk about the Galapagos a little bit. We're going to talk about baseball and leapfrogging. You have to trust me on the journey here. We're going to talk about going viral, and then we're going to talk about the need to evolve. And hopefully, a lot of these topics resonate with what you've been living, with the introduction of AI in your businesses. So, to give you a reference of how things have changed and why we believe that Gen AI is really an extinction level event for most companies. About 18 months ago, we had a client come to us. Actually, they had an RFP. They had 4 people submit. We were one of them. And they really wanted a search engine capability that was able to search through their old proposals and quickly assemble a new proposal based on new requests from clients. Okay, so archival research and then large language to then create a new model, a new proposal with the tone and the requirements of this new client, which they may have never seen before. And of course, they also wanted a long-term vision on how more AI could be introduced. This was their first project. And there were about 4 offers, so I call it the offers. This is not our offers, it's a summary because I got debriefed by them. And in general, most proposals averaged about 11 months to get done, range from about 6 to 850K to get deployed through 6 locations only. It would be limited to 25 users. And after the application was developed for them, it would be a roughly 400 per user per month for any users to be using this thing, and about 100 to 125K of annual maintenance and support to continue to evolve the solution. On top of that, any future AI project, we're being quoted at about 75% of the original, and that's usually because if you're trying to bid something, you don't know what that next project is, but you learn how to work with a business and their data, so it gets a little cheaper. Then, so you're going to say, wow, that's a lot of money. But that's traditional. Most people that are looking at getting AI services, or even if you do them internally, it's going to cost you about that. And that's because you've got this traditional model of evolving a POC to an MVP, getting your data structures right, and it goes on for several months. And the problem with that, this was not adapted to today's reality, and certainly not adapted to the pocketbooks of small, medium-sized enterprises or big enterprises looking for large-scale deployment of AI in their business. And so I call this the legacy approach, and we certainly used it in the past because that was the formula. And frankly, it came out of the first projects that used to come out, usually out of academia or out of research groups within organizations. And so you're talking to 10 to 12 months on average. And the reality is that with new tools, some of which Patrick presented, and with generative AI and some of the large language models coming out, that time can shrink significantly. And the ability to get trained models working with your own data rapidly in your own infrastructure is available today. And so that changes your paradigm on what an AI project should look like. And so I asked the team a couple of weeks ago, I said, what if we rebid that job today? What would it look like? Look at the significant difference, right? It's not that people were ripping off clients 18 months ago. It's that the tech and the availability of processing and compute is now available to make things much more effective. So you're talking roughly a 30x savings on that same project, right? That's major. And so this is the theme of today's presentation. Guess what? Projects don't have to be that costly and that expensive. That's because something that we realize, for the most part, our clients are not buying AI. Our clients are buying what AI can do for them. And that's a major shift, right? Because if you're buying AI, then I have to convince you that I'm going to have a bunch of data scientists, ML engineers, algorithms, and all kinds of things to validate that I'm going to charge you $6,000, $7,000, or $850,000 like we saw earlier. But if you ask me, what am I actually using? I'm just using a tool. You know, it's just like any other tool. It just happens to be AI, Gen AI powered. And so for us, you know, what we decided to do is to create this. I should have introduced Patrick, but this is the next video that Patrick already introduced, but more of the website feel.
Yeah, sure. So this one, for this is a series of tools. In this case, it's 2 tools, and it's connected to a very large database of emails. And the idea is that you want to ask questions. So, for example, where are there issues within the email? Which professors are not really answering their emails quickly, and so on. So this is based on a large database. So what we did is we created tools integrated in the platform. The first one basically gathers all the information, tries to collect what's the best, the most likely connection to that question, and after that it summarizes the whole story, and so that you can basically get real analytics about what the question about your data. And we're talking about like a gigantic database of all the past email, all the past communication, and you're getting information from that. So this is not possible in other platforms. You really need to be connected through, to connect to a database, get all the information, process it, and and this one is a little bit worse because it needs to be deployed on premises, completely air gap. So we're using smaller models that it can take up to hours to process. There's so much data. So this is something that's possible. So in our case, we deploy on premises, we deploy in private cloud, and we also deploy tools on our cloud. So depending on the use case. So yeah, so that's.
Yeah, so something like this, if we had to bid it 18 months ago, would have been that $300,000-$500,000 approach. This took us less than 2 months to deploy at the customer on premise. Over 3,000 records analyzed live. So it just shows you, not just us, but it just shows you that the tools and the capabilities are available now for you to work much more effectively, even if you're doing your own AI in-house. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And so talk about our journey. You're saying, okay, Guillaume, that's a lot of talking. That's a lot of statements, you know, like who the heck are you guys? You know, we're a scale up, been around for 6-7 years here out of Montreal. We've done now close to 50 AI projects for companies in all kinds of industries. And so we don't come at it from one specific vertical. We come at it from giving people the best tools to work most effectively at getting AI deployed in the real world and do so, you know, very quickly. So we've done all kinds of programs, we've done all kinds of collaborations, we've done some R&D, blah, blah, blah. But all of this to say that we've done the complex AI stuff, the first video I showed you with the cable inspection, and we've done what I call the less complex. Doesn't mean it's easy. It's less complex from a tools perspective. And certainly those are the ones on the right that tend to find their ways, if properly deployed, in the hands of most of your colleagues, employees, and collaborators that are needing to use the tools that are being developed for them. So from a journey perspective, we used to do professional services. Obviously, we still do that. Some clients will say, can you help us through something which is big and complex? But more and more, what we've decided to do is to productize our own platform that made us very effective and make it available to the general public. So 3 things to keep in mind. Certainly, what we've learned in our company is you're not buying AI, you're buying what AI can do for you. Number 2, you need to start changing your perspective of how to bring AI in your business. What you heard 5, 6, 7 years ago is no longer applicable in terms of the options that are available to you to get up and started very quickly. And you have more choices than you actually think, and we'll talk about that as well. So yeah, what we did is we ended up saying, you know, do we continue selling you a fish, and you have to buy a fish every time, and it can be an expensive fish, or do we teach you how to fish or consume the fish and let the magic happen behind the curtain, as long as that magic is explainable, trustable, and robust? And so we have 2 platforms. You saw chat earlier. You saw studio, a little bit of it. So, you know, we'll ask the questions in a few minutes, but I'll be happy to get a sense of who's in the room as part of the workshop, part of this session. So, you know, I think it's about giving clients, you know, your internal users, the choice. If you want to keep buying a fish each time, that's fine. If you want to learn how to fish, that's also fine. But maybe you don't want to do one or the other. You just want to have fish when you want it. Why stop at fish, as I always say. You can eat all you can eat because you've got HR, you've got finance, you've got IT, you've got operations, you've got productions, you've got marketing, and all of them need AI, and they're not all the same requests. They're not all the same food group internally. And so Zeta Forge Studio, just to give you a sense, because it'll explain why we're saying this, and we're not the only ones. So when you're out there looking for solutions, our approach has been to basically mimic the Lego block company and say, if everything in AI was as easy as putting Lego blocks together, how great would that be? Now, who here has ever bought Lego or played with Lego? Thank you. Come on, don't be. Who still plays with Lego? Come on, Star Wars people and all those guys. All right. So, what's great about Lego is you get the recipe and you build exactly what they tell you, right? But after you've done that a few times and your kids have come around and messed up all the Legos, they're all mixed. And now you got to create your own Lego, and you're now inventing different things, right? But they always block to block fit. That's what we wanted to do. We said, what if an IT department at a company didn't have to hire 100 data scientists and ML engineers? They needed a few, but they could assemble AI pipelines, as we call them. For users, it's just a tool that are assembled quickly as a team, and everybody works on their own specialty. And what if, not only that, but you could actually deploy it in the same infrastructure as you developed it, so as to save all those months of costly MLOps time, which is often what takes a long time when you have these AI projects. It's that deployment readiness prep. But more important than that, we said, yeah, but AI is changing too quickly. So what if the platform could allow you to create blocks from the latest and greatest state-of-the-art models that would come out? Tomorrow, there's a new llama, there's a new model of any type, and you can just wrap it in a block, and like Lego, if it's wrapped properly, it plugs and plays. But sometimes you're developing your own models or your own IT or your own software, so you want people to do that as well. So what if you could wrap a block in there, and again, when you're building up models, you can just reuse the blocks as you wish. That's Zeta Forge. That's what's behind the platform. And what if you could deploy it anywhere? Because when you're doing AI, even in one organization, we realize that if it's a distributed organization, they may have different deployment infrastructures. Sometimes, one of the ones you see here, sometimes on-premise as well. And so we needed to account for that. So that's what that's all about. So I got some fun questions coming out, but before that, any questions on what we just talked about before I get into the second half of the presentation? And there'll be a question period at the end as well. Yeah. I hate to say it, but I don't know if the mic... Thank you so much.
Great presentation. Quick question about security.
Yes.
Data ethics, governance of data governance. What security? Mainly also about security. This is a critical aspect that sometimes are not firm, do not care enough.
Yep.
So one thing, and a second thing is one big challenge even is now the effort is a lot less to convince an executive team in the firm to pick up good priority, business priority. Of course, to test out an ID, now it's easy. But again, to bring on board the executive team to make sure that they will select the best business cases.
Yep.
This is still challenging, I think.
Okay, so two questions. Patrick, I'll let you answer the data question, the data security, the whole aspect, and then I'll answer the second one.
Yeah, for data security, it's a matter of what our clients need. Sometimes they're like, yeah, it's not very sensitive data, so you can have it on your cloud. Sometimes they're like, okay, my clients, our clients need to have very secure solution. So we deploy this in their cloud. And I mean, that's usually a good approach, is that you go where they are comfortable. Of course, when you go in private clouds, it's a little bit more work, but we engineered everything so it's the easiest possible in the world of deploying software. And then there's the third one is on-premise air gap, which is also possible. So because of that exact problem, depending who needed what, we made our software that it can move from these 3 places exactly because of data. Instead of trying to get all these certification and so on, because there's probably some companies, what I heard is that there's no certification that they'll be okay with, they only want to know that it's in their infrastructure, their IT department gave the stamp on it, which is basically all they need. Doesn't mean that there's everything secure there. That's not necessarily what it means, but it means that within the organization, the people there are happy. So that's with where the data goes. And
and what, one thing I'll double down on what Patrick said. One of the reasons we made our platform infrastructure agnostic is because clients had very specific needs on where they needed it deployed because of security. So this idea of forcing him on Amazon or forcing him on Google Cloud or forcing him on whoever is no longer acceptable. It was 5-6 years ago, no more. Some clients, it's an easy application. They don't mind being on a public SaaS. It's still secured, but it's not the level that they need. So the second question I will answer when we talk about leapfrogging and base hits. But I've certainly been in front of a lot of C-suites having that conversation. The one word I will use, though, I found, and I used to be a C-suite in the big companies, right? So I know the feeling. Before I can even pick my use case, I need to trust the technology that you're putting in front of me. And often resistance came from that, but I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I might have something also is that if you want to convince the C-suite, you should give them a tool that they will appreciate. Then they will okay everything down the road. So in our case, we're building C-suite tools. They want to know about competition analysis. They want to have reports and so on. So we have report builders, competition analysis tool, things that will kind of put the website of your competitor, get the information, which is basically what I did. It's just I did it to us. So that means for people who are thinking strategy, you can go get that information and discuss with your data. So that's the idea is I find the right tools for them and give them the right.
Low-hanging fruit. It's a great. Thank you. Yeah. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a point here.
Yeah.
Patrick Taillon from the City of Laval, we also do a lot of proof of concept with
Yep.
generative AI, but what we realize is that when you want to bring those proof of concept in productions, frequently those projects doesn't stand alone. You have to interface them with existing systems.
Yep.
And obviously we do have legacy systems, and as he mentions, there's a security aspect. And moreover, our people on site need to have the knowledge of the technologies that we are using. I saw Kubernetes.
Yep.
Kubernetes is not a simple tool to handle. And there's the process of DevOps, MLOps that needs to be also taken care of. So this is a lot of challenge. And then we foresaw in some meeting last year here that over 80% of projects failed to go on productions at scaling level. Yeah. So how do you handle those aspects with your clients? I know it's a big question, but this is something that we are facing.
So for sure. So whether it's McKinsey, whether it's Boston Consulting, whether it's PwC, whether it's whoever, all the data shows 80 to 85, 90% projects in proof of POCs don't make it out. One of the things that we try to solve is the main reason for that is the fact that the development happens in a different environment than deployment. And so, we had that problem, and Patrick can talk to it for days, where even in our own team, we'd be doing a project, Patrick develops it on his computer, and I go, okay, share it with me. I put it on mine, doesn't work. You go, well, it worked on mine. That's the famous, everybody has that excuse. Who's used that one? Well, it was working on my computer, right? And that's like the AI sort of answer to everything, right? And so we tried to solve that, and we did it with the platform. We say to clients, whether it's ours or whatever you do internally, but make sure that your dev platform and your deployment platform are the same, because your MLOps will take you longer than your POC and MVP put together, right? Which is crazy. And then, so that's one. Number two is, you have your IT infrastructure to deal with as well. And we tend to always involve our clients early in the IT infrastructure. But frankly, with the chat product, aside from a couple of security things, we've never had a big problem because we've made it multi-infrastructure compatible, and part of it was containerizing through Kubernetes as a tool. So, but we can talk about that at the booth for sure. I don't want to take all that, but that's the simple answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we built this platform was because we faced that really many times. And we're like, okay, so why am I like having to work at the code when I know it works on your computer? So that's why we built that platform, so it actually it run once, it runs everywhere. That means that it's a one-click thing when you send it to the cloud. So really, when we deploy, we skipped MLOps. We made a platform to save our lives and sleep more, so that we don't have to do those big MLOps stories. So we did the MLOps for everyone. So now it's one click, the pipeline is deployed, and now we just wrap up a small tool that interface with it, because that was the last part of the journey was, okay, we can one-click deploy a pipeline that ran on one computer for everyone. That's good, check. But then, like, how do you get to for people to use it and actually get the benefit post-POC? Because usually your POC, everything is almost there. You had the data, you generated a nice model, the results are fairly good, and they could be used right away to give value. So why wait in the MVP and the long process when it's already running in the cloud technically, and then you just need to wrap it up in an interface, which was the next part of our journey. So I mean, this was built out of necessity and to be able to get those projects out the door really quickly. So that was the idea behind it.
Thank you. All right, I'll keep going, and then we'll get more questions in a minute. So this is where we had a very high-tech live answer graphs and so on, but it didn't work when we tested it earlier. So instead of getting rid of them, I'll just ask you to read the question, and we'll do it the old-fashioned, low-tech, hand-raising way. And it's really for everybody here to get a sense of who do you have in the workshop, in the session today? Because sometimes you wonder, am I the only one am I the only bird of this feather? And you'll be surprised to see that there are a lot of people like you struggling with the same thing. So if I ask the question, what best describes your role in your organization? Are you an AI practitioner? So data scientist, somebody who's developing AI every day. People can raise their hands. Just give us a sense of the room there. Okay, so a small number, maybe 5% or so. Who's part of an AI team or innovation team, manager, supervisor, that sort of a role, and you're here to learn? Okay, a little more, maybe 10%. Okay. Who here is in a support function, like they're in HR or finance? They're here to go, like, how can I use AI? How can I get my company to get AI? Okay, smaller number yet. Okay. Thank you. Who's in a kind of an IT function? I separated from the other functions because they tend to have a specific role. Regarding AI, that is. Okay. Oh, we got a very distributed group. Who's in a business unit? They're running operations, they're in charge of something, and they're trying to get AI. Okay, a little more. Wow, interesting. Okay, thank you. And who's in some other function? You're just, okay, so hopefully it wasn't half the room. I'm going like, really? Like you're all in others? All of the above. Or you're, okay, thank you. Who's wearing all the hats? That's Patrick's job right here. Yeah. Okay, are you considered, so who's here? Are you a small, medium large, super large? So are you a small startup or scale up? Oh, wow. Okay, more than I thought. Okay, are you a medium size? I'm putting numbers, 30 to 200, under 200. Okay, the same. Are you a larger company, 2 to 5? Wow, okay, a lot more there. Are you big, like a mega company? Okay, almost as big as the other one. So half the people here are between 200 and 1,000. Are you like a major corporation, whatever the heck that means? Wow, okay. And are you a research organization? Okay, about 5% or so. Okay, cool. That's who's in the room. It's always interesting to see who attends these things. All right. Have you introduced some sort of AI in your business as of today? Very simple, yes. Okay. Okay. No? Any no's yet? Are people just kind of getting their toes in the pond? Not many no's. Okay. Or not sure. Some people don't know they're here, but they're not sure. The big company's so big. We might have, but I don't know. Any no sure? Yeah, a couple. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the Galapagos. I was actually there a few years ago. And, there's a famous saying that if you go to one of the Charles Darwin Center, this sucker's right there. It's not the strongest of the species that survives. You got Curious George and Curious whoever, the turtle, but there's a bunch of them. And it's the one that is the most adaptive to change. And we talked about that when I talked about Gen AI. And so I'm not going to repeat that. But really, we're at that sort of business crossroad when it comes to introducing AI. And certainly some of the things that we've learned as we've pivoted to help our clients pivot is that POCs and MVPs, we talk about it, take a very long time. Development to deployment, often broken, the question that we had earlier. You just don't have enough end user involvement. So by the time the AI is ready to be deployed, they're not using it because they weren't involved, because you threw AI at them, which we tried to change with a chat concept. Adoption is poor, we talked about it. Models updates are really difficult. So many of you that have deployed AI will know this, right? You deployed it, and as soon as it deployed it, took you 12 months. What happened in 12 months? What happens in 12 months in the world of AI? Somebody, new model comes out that's 10 times better than the one you spent 12 months integrating. And so you want to be able to future-proof your projects and be able to remove a block, that's what we call them, and plug a new model very quickly. If not, your competition may have been working on the better model that's 10 times faster than the one you just deployed. And so you want to make sure you're keeping up. And so instead of using this process, which costs a lot of money, the problem is that if you follow a legacy approach, you will invest either through consultants or through your own business, a team of people that do this, which we have, and these are expensive teams to maintain. And so if you can find the tool sets out there that allow you to have all these people in a box so that you're limiting your adoption to your specific needs, which in some case, if you're doing high-end R&D in your own business, you will need all this team involved at some point or another. But that's the legacy approach, is you know, you're paying internally or externally for all this power. And you do so every project. Every time you have a new project, you restart the machine, like the city of Laval was mentioning, and you're spending a lot of time and effort. And on top of that, not only are you doubling up on investments, you're not sure if you're future-proof. So the big takeaway for this section is think about what you're doing to ensure that whatever you're deploying, you will future-proof it, you know, in the way your architecture is set up. I was at a AI defense symposium. We were there last year, and they actually talk about throwaway models. You know, your model's only as good as your last one, and as long as you have the infrastructure to say that one's old, put a new one in, you know, you're good to go. So that's a concept that's also developing in AI. So your options to date were outsource, insource, or put a bunch of AI tools together and try to make them speak, right? Or do nothing, which a lot of people did because they were overwhelmed with the choices. So outsource, we talked about it. You know, great for getting work done. These are smart people that have all the bandwidth and the teams behind them, but it can be expensive, right? We showed some examples earlier. And so you've got to have the right use cases and certainly the stomach to be able to do this project after project after project, obviously. And you're not sure you're future-proofed, because most are not. Or your second option is to build an internal team. We talked about that, right? So you assemble experts in various domains, and you know, just to build a small 8 to 10% person team internally gets you up to the $1.5 million, $2 million very quickly. And so, you know, again, you've got to have, you know, the bandwidth and the finance to do that, and that's a small team. And you're still sort of following the same process, and as the question was mentioned earlier, you know, a lot of people are not successful at getting POCs adopted inside their company. Your third option is to put a bunch of AI tools together that you find, right? Best of breed. I call that death by the 1,000 cuts, because you're bringing together software that doesn't necessarily speak to each other, that doesn't speak to your data the same way, and guess what? That has a UI, UX that is different every time, and so if you're a person using 10 of these things, you got to get used to 10 UI, UXs. Very complicated for adoption, right? And so I just give you an example here. What if you were using just for marketing and day-to-day? You'd be spending, you know, $99 and $100 and $25 and $80 per month, and you're not sure your people are using them. And by the way, the data shows that most software is barely used 15% of their capabilities because you just use it for 2 or 3 things, right? So you're overpaying in the sense that you're not using 100% of the capability. So you got to be careful there as well. So that's the main takeaway of this section. You do have these 3 choices, but you've got to be careful in how you do them. So a quick question, show of hand. Anybody here in there, we talked to a lot of people here that had an AI journey. So who generally has just only done POCs to date? Okay, okay, small number, very small number. Okay, just turn around because I see the hands, you don't all see them. Have you done AI, but generally limited to available, whether they're free or paying sort of platforms? So not developed internally, but off the shelf, call it? Wow, okay, a good third of you, okay? Include some AI deployed, but to a small base of users, which is typically what we see, by the way. A lot of like, yeah, we've done AI, but to a small group. Yeah, it's about 20%, okay, thank you. We are still exploring the use of AI. I think we kind of said just a small number, yeah, okay. And we haven't done much, okay, we've already talked about that one. Anybody here reluctant at introducing AI, and this is back to the C-suite questions possibly, because we don't fully understand it? No? Well, that's not a big one. Okay, haven't found a use case. I guess the question should have been haven't aligned on the use case. Maybe that's the one. There we go. More hands are going up. We're struggling with the data aspects. Okay. Senior, too expensive. The ROI is not there. Is that one you're seeing? Okay. Senior management has not bought in. Anybody else with that one question? Okay, not many of you. And we're not reluctant, we just haven't done it yet. So you're still studying it, right? Okay. Okay, thank you. So baseball and leapfrogging. The leapfrogging aspect happens with what I talked about earlier. It is literally this type of technology. What Patrick showed that he was able to do in a day to create a website, bring, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter that it's a website, but to integrate language, video, audio, iterate it, make sure it's market specific, then create another app in the same platform to deploy your LinkedIn posts, your X posts, and your other posts in your social media, all integrated with the same look and feel, used to take weeks and weeks to do. So if you're in that kind of a business and somebody's using that, they've just put you out of business in the next few months, right? If you're internal to a company and your job is that, and somebody says, well, why am I paying this team, you know, a full salary for a year to do all this kind of work when it could happen so much faster? The leapfrogging happens because at the end of the day, all your costs make up your P&L, right? And so you got to save where you can. And I call leapfrogging no different than cell phones when, you know, countries that didn't have any communication infrastructures from one day to the next were able to be fully connected through towers and cell phones, skipping the whole, you know, Quebec, you know, phone towers that we have, telephone poles that we have everywhere. And so be careful because leapfrogging is happening. And the second thing I want to mention around leapfrogging is we used to talk in tech about a 10x improvement. And frankly, most companies, when they do return on investment, they'll say, what's my 10x? You know, if I give you $1 million, how am I going to save 10 million? In the world of AI, 10x is no longer suitable. In our experience, if you're not getting 50x in time and cost, you're not taking advantage of the technology. Yeah?
Yeah, so, I mean, so I think maybe 2 years ago I was watching, looking at the news every day about AI. And every 2 weeks there would be like a really massive discovery or really massive new models and so on. But lately it's a really day by day. Every day there's something you're like, oh, I know AI was like, could do stuff, but things are accelerating in a way that it never happened before. And if it's for us, it was a real problem. We're thinking, okay, so how can we handle all these new technology coming all at once so fast, so fast? Like one day to the next. I mean, I remember like 2 years ago, we're taking pictures of invoices, trying to extract all the data, and you know, it was a pretty big pipeline. It was really hard to do. It was a big research project. We got it to MVP. But it was really difficult. But now the models are like so performant. They take handwritten stuff written on napkins and it does it. So things are happening every day. So when we talk to organizations and they're like, okay, how can we make it? You know, things are changing. There's something that's going to basically delete one of the things that we do so well, is going to bypass it. So to me, it's like, okay, so look at what's inside your company. Make a list of all the things that you can gain for yourself, like all the features you want. And when you want a feature, what kind of task you want to achieve. what's the input and output I want from that task. So if you break this down as a input-output objects, like for me, I call them tools now. So make the list, figure out like what's the in, what's the out, and if I have that, how much do I gain? So that's really the thing. You do it internally, and then you look outside to your clients. Okay, what kind of things I can give them that there's an in and out, and then they'll be happy. Then you go for that. So I think it's important to be able to brace for the rapid changes is to have that list. Usually there needs to be at least one or two champions within the enterprise pushing everything. So I would, no matter what technology you use, I really recommend you make that list for yourself. Just what are the ins and the out? That's a task that need to be done. And then you'll see more clearly of where things can be automated, things that you need to, we're still going to do it this way. Because things are so rapidly changing that there's almost no time to even turn around fast enough. So if you have that map, at least you'll be ready for the next wave of technologies, which is next week, Sorry, but...
Yeah, it's the speed of light is really what's happening, right? I've never seen it. I've been in tech my whole career. I've never seen tech move this quick in a given vertical. Okay, so the C-suite. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we're making in companies, we certainly see it, is we're going for the home runs as opposed to going for the base hits, as we call them. And so it goes back to the 90% versus 10% of the complex versus the realistic short-term wins. Those quick hits, as Patrick mentioned, we developed a platform that's now part of one of the tools we offer, which is a competitive analysis tool. So, now all of a sudden, you wake up in the morning, you're chatting with an interface that's easy to use that says, tell me what my competitors have been up to based on various sources of information. And so that makes it real for people, right? One thing that we did is we made our chat platform secured so that you weren't afraid to then, feed ChatGPT or whatever other, search engine you're using with the questions that you're asking. So that was important. But once you get past that, please think of all the small hits that you can make, and that's where you're going to get C-suite buy-in very quickly. And so you combine the two. As Patrick said, pick something that you can easily identify from internal users. What's the input and what's the output? Let us worry, you, the IT specialist, the AI specialist, worry about what happens in the middle. Make sure you pick technology that leapfrogs the competition and allows you to make a big step forward. And as you pile up these base hits, you will see that you'll get viral very quickly. Going viral, is not the easiest thing. I love this. This was a LinkedIn post from Sol Rashidi. Now she's now on her own, but she was head of AI at, as you can see the bottom left there, at many prestigious organizations. And she said it really well in about a month ago. After over 200 AI POCs, she's realized, at the end of the day, it's not the tech that gets you, it's adoption. And so that's what you really want to aim for. What's your adoption strategy inside your company? And what sort of interface or what easy to use, intuitive environments are you giving your employees to do that with? All safe and secured, of course. So it's not about the AI, it's about ensuring that your employees and your colleagues actually use it, right? So, for me, that's certainly what we've seen in companies. In the early days, I used to hate that. I never gave up on clients. It was like, well, we deployed it and it's all working, but you were supposed to have, 35 users and you're still stuck at 3. Why? And getting people to get to the numbers that they were looking for is something that you should never give up on. And I think one of the things why adoption is not happening is because we're all making the big mistake of explaining to people what AI is to the point that I've never seen before. When I started bringing cell phones in our companies, I wasn't explaining to people how, digital wire, communication was working. People started using cell phones. When we started using the internet, I didn't explain to people all the algorithms behind the internet. But for some reason, as an industry, we've become so stuck with explaining everything that we scare people with the stuff on your right, and we forget to talk about what they need just to get them using. So be careful. Don't scare people off and protect them from all that AI mumbo jumbo that we like to speak about. So Patrick already talked about this. Make it easy to use. Make something that's easy to understand, that saves them from going to 3 tools, and then you make it into 1 tool. That's already a big win. We did some stuff internally for our own marketing team, where Brooke calls it the swivel chair approach. You know, I got to use this platform to do this software to do that, this one to do this, and I'm always kind of going from platform to platform. Well, try to see if your AI can bring you to 1 platform doing something that would take you 3 or 4. I'll skip those 2 because I was hoping to have the live system for that one. So you have options. We talked about them before: outsourcing, insourcing, and putting together a bunch of software tools. But you can also decide to invest in platforms that give you all of your AI tools, your AI business tools under 1 roof. And I think that becomes important, especially if you aim for common UI, common UX, so that people are easy coming in and out of your tools easily. And like I said, don't forget that you have a lot of functions ready to adopt AI or not AI, but looking for solutions to solve their day-to-day problem. And they represent all kinds of functions and all kinds of operational use cases. And they all need to be sold on it. And it has to look and feel the same for all of them. So I would say make sure that as you're looking at your options, you're also thinking of that. So at the end, I always say, know who you are. Are you a user of AI? Ultimately, your company doesn't want to invest in AI. They just want to have tools that happen to have AI behind them. Is that who you are? Or are you a builder of AI, which means you want to build those tools internally and, of course, give it to users internally, but fundamentally, you want to build them as well? And or are you also a researching because you want to be at the state of the art of whatever field you're in your own organization, in your own verticals, and so you're more of a researcher type? And you know, we've built our platform so that it answers all needs, but regardless of the platforms that you're using, do the soul searching of who your company really is. And maybe you don't want to be building AI tools, but you kind of got wrapped into it. And maybe you just want to be a user of AI tools. And like I said, there's a small piece of the pyramid that also wants to do research there, and those people need to be equipped as well. All right, so in conclusion, this is the slide you need to remember, really, right? Because hopefully the pictogram will help everything else. So, you know, you got Darwin there basically telling us, adapt to Gen AI or disappear. You've got, you know, the baseball players going for base hits, which I think is the winning strategy, as opposed to the big ones, which is typically what the C-suite wants to, you know. I mean, I've been in front of the C-suite where they're throwing these projects at us. I'm going, really? You haven't even used chat yet? And you want us to automate your core process with AI? And put all your marbles on that one particular bid? I go, I'm not sure, but you know, it's your call. And so get them there, not slowly in the sense of take time, but get them there with quick hits. Leapfrogging will happen. Don't forget about going viral, and remember that you've got a lot of options. Keep in mind that it is an extinction level technology, if all you remember out of today is that, because it'll give you the sense of urgency that you need. Keep in mind that traditional AI services were developed on a framework that was needed then, no longer needed now for most of your AI projects. And keep in mind that you do have more affordable options than you think you have. And don't forget that your internal users for who you're all developing AI for are not buying AI, they're buying what AI can do for them in their day-to-day work and functions. All right, on your mark, get set, go. And like I always like to say, go viral, hopefully, with your projects, and we'll leave it open for more questions. Yep, over here, if there's a mic. Oh, the mic is could it be right behind you? Yeah, it's literally right behind you.
I think it works. Hi, thank you for the presentation. I have a question regarding the adoption. You talk about the fact that it's moving really fast, and sometimes companies have to evolve in terms of culture as well. Do you also support them into evolving their organizational culture, and how you would do it?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time, Patrick and I, in senior level meetings, bringing AI to a business level discussion. And so, you know, for me, it's about showing people very quickly tangible examples as to how AI has helped businesses, like tangibly. Because often you'll read things on AI about models, but they're from a study, not from a deployed business perspective. So to me, that's number one. And number two, the culture is two things, you know. It's adapting to change, regardless of whether it's AI or not. And there's an AI, what I call maturity level, which is how much have you done? If you've done no AI, and like I mentioned earlier, you try to bring me to a very complex application, you're going to lose them. It's just human nature, you know, they'll be resisting. So start making your best base hits to develop what I call an AI maturity level. Some companies go very fast, some companies go slower. But I think real life example of where AI has helped business, and you can find those certainly anywhere. We use them because we have our own. And then, you know, the base hit approach, really important.
Yeah, it's really one small step at a time. And you find the easiest steps to do first, then people gain value, and then people want other things, and then it kind of grows like this. So it needs a few steps, and you need to get those wins really. The fastest win possible is going the one that will slowly transform the business. So yeah. And the thing that's interesting with AI is that literally almost everything is possible. So whether it's like now or maybe in 2 years, literally everything. Who would say that? Who thought that I could write a text and have a video of high quality of 5 seconds of the best like graphic artist who could have in the world? This takes 5 seconds. 2 minutes, you generate a video from one text prompt. So who thought that like 10 years ago? So if you think of a problem, I think it will be solved like within 3-4 years, and it's probably already solved now. So that's the thing with AI. It's like it's something that we have never seen before, and at the rate that it's going, it's we kind of need to really think deeply every day of okay, so how do we embrace this new technology that's going really, really fast? So I mean, those are the thoughts I have every day. Okay. So even being in AI, I'm like, okay, so how do we keep relevant? How do we bring the company forward, knowing that new technology are coming literally every day? So that's kind of the
Yeah, well said.
the story. Yeah.
Anybody else? We're here for 2 days, so you can grab us at the booth in the main hall.
All right.
Oh.
So good luck with AI.
Yeah, in the back. Oh, sorry, so I didn't see you. Yeah.
I'm from Canadian Institute for the Health Information. We do data analytics on pan-Canadian health data. We just introduced AI, starting by ChatGPT and Copilot, and we are looking forward to have more.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to raise a point about the adoption of the new technologies, including AI in companies. And to my knowledge and our experience, lots of effort and costs and the investment went to training of the people and the staff, education. And I think if you have any recommendation or the best approach to our training, because for our case, it was not an option to downsize the companies and hire new up-to-date talents.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big hurdle to educate people in any of the 3 options that you explained during, especially the last one, that is bring the modular AI type into the company. If you have any recommendation or any approach based on your experience.
Yeah, I'd say, depending of the type of, like Guillaume said, there's different type persona, different type of people. I would say, for some people, they don't need to know what's happening behind. Everyone knows how to do cut and paste. And cut and paste is probably one of the most powerful technology ever invented. You take, you imagine you were typing. Oh, I made a mistake. First, I could not erase. Now, if I want to take this text, I have to start typing again. So that technology really worked well. Now we all do cut and paste every day, and you never were trained to do cut and paste. Someone did it first. They did it, and Control C, Control V. Okay, I'm good, and forever I'm good. So the idea is that for some people, they will need the most minimal interface. To be honest, like the way I made the tools is that I want it to be just a form to fill out, and then you press a button. So the more you just have to press one button, the more you don't have to worry about this. But in the background, depending on the other people in your enterprise, some people are like, okay, you need to work on the data and how it will process the data for the person pressing the button and entering a small question in the front end. So there's really like, you have to think like people with infrastructure that will be dealing with the database, then the people doing like a small tool for the person that will be using it. And the most of the people are here. They just need to enter a question, press a button, fill a form, upload a file, get a file back. That's all you really want here, and that's actually, I prefer to be here. When I don't have to go there, I'm really happy. I just drop my file, get the file I want. I wanted to convert a PDF to an EPUB file. Why do I have to do this big thing? I just want to drop in, get it back. So that's, AI is going to be like that. If it's well done, it should not be more than this. You don't need to have all of this. This is for the other people supporting the front, you know. So
Yeah, and the other thing I would add is like ease of use. Like I think, you know, we've complicated AI because it was a new tech, and we've made it about the AI as opposed to making it about ease of use. And I find that a lot of people, regardless of age and tech savviness or tech easiness, they're looking for something that's easy to use and that they don't have to learn 10 different things each time they switch tools, you know. So that's number one. And number two, Patrick, I didn't mention it, but he's behind most of them. I think small, quick videos on getting people up and running as opposed to 4 hours or 2-day classes on whatever goes a long way. What we found in our practice is people want to consume training at their own pace, and they want to do it in small pieces, not 3 hours introduction to this and 2 hours that. Here's how to use cut and paste, bomb. Okay, good, I know how to use it. So making those, I think we've seen anyway, makes a big difference. And then depending on how complex your AI is, I mentioned in the presentation, get end users involved in a project on day one, literally on day one. We've done that, and it's been hugely successful. Even for the UI, UX that you create at the end, you know, they feel like they're part of it, not the AI part, but the sort of user story. And I think that's important. Those are the three things. And then you fit to the persona. Yeah. I think we're going to be kicked out soon, I guess. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for staying behind.